All right, there we are. We're live, Marco.
Hey, hi Endo. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, thank you for joining as always. So, we're doing something new and different. This is 2025, and Marco wanted to start doing updates with you guys, and he offered to do it on my channel. So, thank you, Marco.
Oh, my pleasure. Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm very curious to be here and answer some questions for the players about the game. And yeah, I'm very curious to see if we can start doing it this like with some kind of frequency. So it's gonna be easy to let people be updated about what our plans, what we achieved week after week, month after month, or something. I think it's gonna be a cool idea.
All right, cool. So, I have gone and scraped the Discord. So, if you're not in his Discord, I have brought all of the content from his Discord, and I'm going to show you some of the things that they're working on. But first, let's go ahead and talk about 2024 and how far you've come. Let's not get too much details, because we kind of did that during the award show, so if you want to watch that, you guys can watch that. But let's talk about what are the main changes that you did in 2024 to bring the game up to like 2025?
Okay, so well, we usually release every year or every various months, basically, a roadmap that usually explains what we are working on, what are our plans, and we normally release it like during the summer in the mid of the year. So there are basically two roadmaps that the player can basically see. One is for like mid 2023 through mid 2024, and one is from 2024 to now. So the first one, of course, is fully complete. It features a lot of stuff during late 2023 and 2024, we added Battle of France. We released on Xbox. We reworked costs. We made a huge AI rework. We started at first person and third person animation rework. Really a lot of stuff. Then there is the second roadmap, started in mid 2024, actually more like late 2024, which is currently being work in progress, which also, in my opinion, features a lot of exciting stuff. Many of them, almost actually half of them, have been already made. For example, during late 2024 and this initial part of 2025, we already managed to basically redo the body face system, a new sound system for the weapons, destructibility in general for vehicles, for static vehicles, which was not there, trucks in vehicles, wheels of vehicles. Previously, it was possible, of course, to destroy vehicles, but there was like less graphical impact on that. And like static vehicles like MGs, cannons were not like destructible. And in my opinion, this can in future bring some interesting ideas for, who knows, maybe more game modes, like being able to destroy a specific vehicle in order to proceed in the mission, like, I don't know, commando operation and destruction of AA gun in behind enemy lines, stuff like this. Of course, this is ideas that the community like asked a lot during the years, and I'm really hoping to be able at some point to be able to bring stuff like this. And definitely adding this kind of extra possible destruction is something that would allow this kind of more like commando game modes.
Okay.
But if I have to summarize, basically the biggest stuff we are currently working on.
Wait.
Are
Don't jump. Don't
definitely-
jump. Don't jump yet. We're still on last year. So let me recap and
Okay.
tell me if I'm right, if I heard everything. So you redid the AI, right?
Yes, during if I remember correctly, like January, February, March, and April 2024, we worked a lot on the AI. We like paused most of the other development, at least code-based development of the game, to really focus on the AI. The goal was to bring more AI count. We increased the maximum AI count basically of AI because of optimization we did over them. We tried to improve them to make them more believable, move better in spaces, move like being able to pathfind in areas that previously they hardly could do that. This is valid for soldier, like AI that work on foot, but also and most of it actually for vehicles, which previously had a bit of issues getting stuck over obstacles, especially in narrow places like cities. But I can say that, like, compared to 1 year ago, vehicle AI is really a completely different thing. Much faster, moves better in places, especially narrow spaces, and yeah, more performance or more AI. This is basically what was the focus of it, and I would say that even if our AI is not maybe the best AI out there yet, considering the huge map, the destruction, the AI count we can bring in battle, etc. I'm really proud of what we have currently, and especially I'm very proud when I look back to what it was like again 1 year ago.
Yeah. So you can get more AI on the maps, and I noticed I played it, I think right after the update, and I noticed that the tanks were behaving a lot better. The AI seemed to be like, there was this old thing that I used to see all the time where their like legs would kind of freak out when they're running, like they would almost like sit down or something. You know what I'm talking about?
They like
they
no, what do you mean exactly?
Like they skipped their animation in the earlier version. They would like be running, but then they would kind of like skip animation or something. I don't know. I can't explain it. But I noticed that that's all fixed better. They actually are like running. They're kind of like kneeling in the right places now and taking cover. The tanks.
Yeah, when I
Huh? Go ahead.
Well, yeah, when I'm thinking about AI, I rework. Surely, I was more like thinking about the logic of the AI, the pathfinding and optimization. There have been surely animation works. Huge animation works have been started during 2023, if I remember correctly, especially in the first person compartment. And then in 2024, we also started the third person one. So definitely that affected a lot the visual and the animation of the AI, which is a system that has to live and interact together with, of course, the pathfinding. So the AI must move along a path, and then the animation should be synchronized correctly over that. Almost two different systems, but both of them have been worked on during last month and last years.
Okay, so the other thing that you mentioned is that you've been redoing, if I heard right, you were redoing faces and bodies or just faces?
No, we redo. We actually already redid, even if we want to improve a little bit more. But the entire body system. So now, faces and entire bodies. I mean, normally in gameplay, you normally see hands, sometimes legs when uniform has shorts. So yeah, while we have models for the entire bodies that are much better, of course, in game you mostly are gonna see just the end of the ends and the faces, and we focused a lot on them mostly to improve their proportion to look a little bit more correct in sizes. Before it was probably a little bit questionable the size of sometimes of faces and hands. Now it's definitely more natural. We now have a little bit more variety, better facial expression, and this potentially will give us the ability to also improve the animations a little bit more. There is still some stuff we'd like to work on over them, but I think also there we already had noticeable improvements, especially if compared to, I think, like even just 4 or 6 months ago, something like that, where we started working into this system.
Very cool. So I think also, I don't think you mentioned this, or maybe you did, but did you in 2024, you also started redoing maps that were previously released, right? And redoing graphics and updating models, is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, this is probably our general rule of everything. Like when we have more budget, we tend to decide what we want to improve, and most of the time even rework from scratch. In terms of maps, we have been reworking. Well, recently, COS and a little, which is the Greek island, and other maps have been reworking recently, like Stalingrad. We intend to do more reworks during next month, in particular about Kwajalein, which is an island in the Pacific, and Enzio, which are the first two campaigns we ever made. And apart from minor reworks, we never had the chance to fully restructure the map and the missions entirely. And that's something we want to do this year as well. And yeah, basically, when we have more budget, we can afford to work and make better props, and or we even just improve our skill and methodologies, or we have more time or whatever. When we can, basically, we intend to reduce stuff and increase the quality of the game and make it more appealing to people that maybe were not attracted yet by it, probably because of the quality, the graphic quality, or system quality that didn't attract them before. But when the game evolves, the hope is to attract those people that were not reached originally, because they maybe expect and wait for something better.
Okay. So here's a question for you. I don't remember, so tell me if it was this year or it was earlier. Did you start reworking the damage model on tanks? Is that something that happened this year, last year, 2024?
Yes, so I barely mentioned it before, and yes, it was part of something that we intended to work between mid 2024 and mid 2025, and it ended up like being the very first thing we started working on. It was also almost a little bit sudden because we had the chance to spend some time and work that, and it ended up being a possible rework. So we immediately started once the roadmap was out. So really, we are speaking about, I don't know, 6 months ago, or maybe a little bit less, but maybe 4 months ago. But really, at the beginning of the last published roadmap. And yeah, this new system, basically, as I was saying before I described the destructible static vehicles, but in that same period, we reworked what you are mentioning, which is the destructible tank tracks and destructible car wheels, which basically feature the possibility to, for tanks, in fact, broke the tracks, which will have a visual effect. They can now be repaired with a dedicated tool. And the thing is, this brings interesting gameplay possibilities because sometimes some tanks, like very heavy tanks, can barely be scratched, especially before, by most anti-tank weapons. But now it's possible to, even with not so big explosive or even just anti-tank rifles, to at least stop a tank by destroying its tracks, even if it's heavily armored and there is no way currently to penetrate it. And some players found some interesting ways to basically destroy huge, heavily armored tanks with really little penetrating rifles by breaking the tracks, waiting for the tank to feel safe and the crew to jump out to repair the tracks, and then attacking the crews and killing it. So basically now tanks, even very heavy tanks, can be countered by not so heavily armored anti-tank squads. So yeah, gameplay evolved a bit with that. And yeah, a similar system basically came on vehicle wheels. So even truck and car wheels or half truck wheels can be broken with those in that scenario, even with usually just rifles. So the tires will go flat. They need to be repaired, otherwise the vehicle can't move, even if it's not destroyed. So it can be repaired. The MG can still be used even if the wheel is broken down. While before this rework, basically thing was like a vehicle get damaged until it is just unusable. Now we have basically this middle step where vehicles can be stopped. They can still be used, but they can't move. They need to be repaired, either a wheel or a truck, basically.
Okay. So I have a question. I got confused when I was playing with that new system. Am I able to repair the tank or only my crew?
Everyone that has a repair kit can. Normally, every tank crew spawn with a repair kit. Um, if you are on a tank, especially, like infantry usually doesn't. So if you are like in a half track, normally, unless you are like an engineer or something, you don't have the possibility of doing that. But like if you spawn on a tank with a tank crew, you usually have everyone has a repair kit just once. So when a tank truck get broken, you can jump out, hold F on a tank on a track, and start repairing it. Or if you are the leader, you can just order someone else to do it. Normally, the leader, even if it's an AI, will automatically give the order. So another AI will start doing the action, or sometimes the AI might ask you to do the action. But if
Okay.
you are the tank leader, you can order other AIs to do that or jump out and do it yourself.
All right. Oh, thanks, Mike, for subscribing. Mike Ikim. Okay, so I have some more questions before we get into some dev updates that you did this like last few months. So, no, actually, I don't have a question. I would actually like to say something. So, when people see the trailer, they tend to think of Enlisted or one of the other bigger games, Postscriptum, and they think that this game is trying to do that. So I always have to go and tell people that Easy Red 2 is more of a sandbox World War II game where you play with friends, you go against AI, you can make your own missions. It has a map editor, it has a mission editor. You can share the map, and then other people can build onto, like, missions onto it. And then they've also got a modding system in, and the mods are set up so that if you connect to a server, it will automatically download any of the mods that are being used. And that goes for maps as well. So if you download a map and they happen to be using a mod that is maybe an airplane or something, it will automatically download those mods. You don't even have to think about it or go and subscribe. So it's a really nice system. And if you're into modding, in the modding community, this is probably a game that you could do something like, I don't know, do you have like Star Wars mods yet or anything like that going on?
Well, yes, we definitely have some mods that are related to World War II, if that's what you're asking. Yeah, there is some people working on Star Wars mod and also Vietnam mods, World War One. I think even like very ancient war, maybe not ancient, but like stuff from the Middle Age or from the future. There are mods of any kind.
Yeah.
One of the mobs we feature in the trailer that is playing right now on YouTube in this live stream is in fact a modern mod. So yeah, people can basically do whatever they want.
Yeah.
You know, maybe in future with more system we can even see like mecha or I don't know. There are ideas for giving people more power to do more interesting mods. But yeah, currently it's possible basically to use the exact system we have in game: planes, tanks, cars, infantry,
I checked
uniforms,
some of them
whatever.
out. They're very cool.
Yeah, and make your models, make your vehicles based on those systems,
Yeah,
basically.
audio. I found a gramophone, which was really cool too. You can have there's a gramophone mod. So anyway, so I
Yeah.
always like to say this because people get confused about what Easy Red 2 is. And so I like to put that out there. It is a World War II sandbox. You can do basically anything and have fun with your friends, and it's priced at a very, very reasonable price, and you get a whole lot. You get a whole toolbox that you can play with. So I like to say that. Like to, if people are new to Easy Red 2, it is a World War II sandbox. So don't put it in enlisted. Don't put it in like a postscriptum. This is like a fun game. At least to me it is. And so
Well,
Jeff, by the way, Jeff, the Italian, really liked the COS rework, by the way, Marco.
the Italian, sorry, what you mean?
Jeff the Italian, if you look on the screen, Jeff the Italian chef really liked your rework.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff. We really spent a lot of effort into doing that. Yeah, as usual, we always start like, yeah, we spend 1 month and rework that thing, and when we are in the middle of something, we always say, yeah, but why don't we push a little bit more, spend more time, do it better than we thought? And cost definitely ended up being bigger and more quality work than what we even wanted at the beginning. So yeah, I'm very happy about how it turned out, and I'm happy to hear that you, Jeff, also like it.
Okay, it looks like we also have a member of your team. Do you know who Robert G is?
Yes, I think that's Robert Guerra, known as Sal in our Discord, who makes basically models for buildings, props, or sometimes he also actually often helps with rigging uniforms. Very old, actually, member in the team. Hey, Sal, nice to see you in the chat.
All right, cool. All right, so I think unless you guys have any questions about last year, let me know if you have questions about last year's updates. If you do, put them in the chat right now, or you can use the forum if you want to. But the chat's fine because there's not that many of us. It's not going to get lost. We can see it. If you have any questions about last year, and because we're going to move on to what they've been working on the past few months that include air units, weapons, uniforms, buildings, maps, and reloading systems and animations, basically. And then we'll take a look at the roadmap. So you guys got any questions? Oh, wait. What is this? What is this? I do see a question. Sorry. What does this say? It says, don't know if it was asked before, but why is cost such an unknown and small battle added to the game? Or, I mean, why was it added
Well,
to the game? Is that what you're asking?
good question. Can you still hear me, right? Okay, yes. I didn't see my mouth speaking in the chat. So in the live stream. So why cost was added? Actually, not just cost, but also other campaigns, especially at the beginning of the game, were added when they were not really unknown sometimes, but still kind of small. Like Quetzalcoatl is similar situation, or Roy Namur, or even some campaigns we have in mind for the future. And basically, the reason is we also wanted to offer something that is not the kind of usual scenario people saw in other games. I mean, we also wanted to do Stalingrad our way, Normandy in our way, or Battle of the Bulls in our way, and Enzio, which is kind of big and important battle actually in World War II, but still not very shown in video games. And we wanted to do it in our way, but we also wanted to do something a little bit less known. And Kos was one of those. It was a great place to show a little island that was entirely it was possibly to model it entirely because it was not that big. The in-game scale of the island is, of course, not full scale, but is decently big, and the real and it's similar to the real scale of the real island. So it could have been a good opportunity to show like environment that was not that much different from what people can expect to be the actual, battle that happened there. Even if in reality the battle of course was a little bit probably less exciting than what we show in game, like probably less fights, less vehicles, we still wanted to do something that was fun. So we overdid a little bit compared to what was historically happening. But apart from that, the environment, the landscape, the position, the fact that it showed Greece, which was something that was hardly seen in video games, in my opinion, was perfect for to be included in the game.
Very cool. All right. Thanks for asking the question there, Jose. We have a few more questions, but I think we're going to actually ask those once we get into those parts. So let's start with air this year, okay? I think those are probably some cool things that are happening. And I'm going to put the slideshow up so you can see some of the air units they're working on. And Marco, so can you tell me, what are you doing with air this year?
So, basically, these that you are showing are mostly, you've shown two kind of planes. Here's another, and all of these are planes that are coming for the Sino-Japanese DLC, which is gonna be a DLC based on Shanghai and Nanking, being developed during late part of 2024, and that is coming very soon. Hopefully in very few weeks or very few months. We don't have a release date yet, but we are very close to complete it. And this DLC is gonna feature more planes than usual. Many of those maybe will even end up being in vanilla game because they can be used in other scenarios as well, especially Japanese planes, which can be used in theaters against the USA or UK or other factions as well. But yeah, this DLC is gonna feature various interesting vehicles, including a lot of planes. Main reason of that is actually because we have been collaborating with a guy that is very known Arma 3 modder, which made a similar mod to what we are making, and we collaborate with him because he was able to provide and modify some of his model to fit them inside the game. So basically, I really have to send a huge thanks to this guy, which nickname on Discord is Admiral Hippier. And basically, the main reason why we are able to bring this huge DLC, because it's going to be definitely bigger than the other ones, with a lot of interesting vehicles, a lot of interesting Shanghai and Nanking buildings, a lot of new Chinese and Japanese uniforms. Well, it's mostly thanks to Admiral Hipper, which wanted to really help us to create this DLC based on basically his Arma 3 mod, which to credit it, if I'm not mistaken, is called Early War Arma 3 mod or something in the Arma 3 Steamworks, basically. So yeah, that's why we're adding all these planes. Very big thanks to Admiral Hipper.
Okay, I'm gonna be a pain. You know how I like to ask for features and stuff? So I have a question, and actually two questions. So are you going to be reworking the flight model on planes?
So we have been already doing a bit of interesting adjustments on that in the past weeks and past months as well. Well, months ago we had the possibility to choose between different flight models, like a simplified one, which is like you move the cursor and the plane turns and fly where you're looking. And we have a system where you drive with the mouse, sort of joystick emulation, and a system where you drive with keyboard, so still kind of realistic but a little bit more precise. It's gonna be very interesting to if we can find the time to improve this a little bit more, because definitely it's not at the level of simulator airplane simulator game. Of course, Easy has to do a lot of stuff, so it's hard to focus and do perfectly everything, and definitely flight model is not one of those aspects where we could be very competitive with other games in terms of quality. So yeah, I'd like to work more on that, but to reveal something interesting, since we're speaking about planes, something we haven't been clearly announced well, but we have been speaking with the community on the Discord already, so some people maybe already expect this, is the work we are trying to do to bring bombers like...
Wait, you told me not to mention that.
I mean, really? Did I? I remember saying that we are like we can't like say that we will bring this in game. I can't 100% confirm this,
Okay.
but I can say that we are working on it. We are trying to do something about it. It's not like a secret. And again, I've been mentioning this and asking how much a feature like this is would be interesting for players. The only thing I definitely can do is like saying yes, we are gonna 100% bring it, because if we end up not having the resources or the system is not gonna end up fitting extremely well with the gameplay, then we might scrap the idea or keep it for more in the future or another game or something.
Yeah.
But the plan to actually try to do something like this is there. There are even some ideas to try to fit this in the gameplay.
What can I ask?
Like, Mhm.
Is the
Sure.
idea to bring in bombers as like something you call in and fly over, and the NPCs drop bombs, or is it for players to fly the bombers?
Well, so when I say I can't confirm exactly if this is gonna be in the game, of course, this means also that I can't confirm if, like how this is gonna be implemented. And what you describe is one possible implementation. Personally, my what I would like to have, if I would be able to like 100% predict if it's possible or not, is to have a system where you can also drive the bomber and also stay at the individual machine guns, sort of what other, like basically being able to include in the kind of battles, mixed battles we already have, a system where you can also drive these bombers in a sort of style that some Call of Duty games portrayed. So like bomber missions, but happening during a battle. So the idea I had in mind basically is more like something. Imagine you have one or a few moments in a battle where you can call or spawn in a bomber. Like if you are on the ground, maybe you can radio call an AI to spawn and do it. Or if you are in the spawn menu, you might see like, okay, someone is requesting a bomber and there is a bomber spawn available, just like a normal plane, but more rare. So you spawn on it, you spawn very far. You have to survive to the bombing zone with enemy planes and ground artillery, which might try to stop you. And when you are done bombing, instead of keep refilling bombs and keep fighting, because that's not exactly what bombers did in World War II, you just have to fly back, try to survive, not to waste tickets, and then you can respawn as any other infantry or vehicle just as normal. So more like an event where you can spawn with a bomber, try to survive, bomb the area, and respond some radio call or something, leave, and
So,
mhm.
so, do you think? I mean, we're just pretending right now. We're not saying real things here. We don't have bombers. You're not working currently on implementing bombers, correct? And maybe you're looking at it. Okay, let's just say let's not talk about that it's actually being done yet, if it is. But the question would be, do you think that you'll try to get it where you'll have several bombers in the air and several 109s maybe trying to shoot down those bombers? Is that kind of like the goal you would like to do?
Well, to fit this exactly in the implementation I was describing, if to fit it this exactly in a vanilla mission we have right now, like almost in every vanilla mission, probably in most cases it's just gonna be one or very few bombers. But once this system is available, it's not unlikely that it can be made some more specific mission, especially players surely will find a way to do that, where you can have multiple bombers. And so in that case, yes, it can be more like sky battle, maybe. I don't know. I can't.
All right.
I
Okay,
I don't know exactly.
I do
It's
have
really
another
hard
question.
to fit this in the gameplay.
Currently, are planes? I know that men are, but are planes restricted to the map? Can they go out of bounds forever, or are they restricted to a box of some sort?
No, currently they aren't restricted in directions like parallel to the ground. there's not much reason to go far away, apart from, dogfights can bring you far from the area where you are. Of course, the idea is to let you feel like the world is not limited in this full size world. I think there are some restriction though in heightness, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, the model is modeled that the pressure of the air is less the more up you go, and so it's harder to maneuver. At some point, you just lose aerodynamicity, basically.
Okay, that makes sense. Welcome, Poly6. Thanks for subscribing. All right, so we have Prince of Panzers asking the question. On the topic of aircraft, are large caliber AA guns with flak bursts something we could see in the future?
So I was exactly thinking about this while speaking about bombers. If I'm not mistaken, if I understood correctly how this works, high altitude bombers float some height, so high that like small caliber AA gun couldn't like really try to hit them. Like high altitude bombers were kilometers high, and that's where flak artillery came in use in World War II. Many people think that like 88 flak gun could like shoot at fighters and low altitude planes, but they were so fast moving that it was kind of impossible. And in fact, flak 88 was more like bombing high altitude bombers because they were moving slow, almost straight, not doing evasion maneuvers. And so basically a system like that would be interesting to implement it in an historical realistic way, where you like have coordinates, where you have to aim, like calculated, where we had to aim in order to approximately try to hit the bomber. So not like, okay, I see the bomber, I try to aim there and I shoot, but something more like based on some actual calculations, some actual coordinates, like it was in World War II. Because in World War II, it was like a system where, like, if I remember correctly, radars triangulate the position of the bomber. So they do the mass calculation and they say, okay, in order to hit the bombers kilometers far away, you have to aim the gun at this amount of degree. And that's what I'd like to bring into Israel if I have to make high altitude flak anti-air support.
Okay, cool. That's cool. Very cool. There's a quick question here that probably is easy to answer, and that is right here. Will some of the planes make it into the other campaigns? So I think the answer, if I'm guessing right, the answer is, well, you can always put any plane into any campaign that you create. But do any of these planes, like maybe the Japanese planes, are they going to be in a rework of the, I don't know what the campaign is called, but you tell me, Marco. Are they going to be in there?
So if we are gonna rework planes we already have, you mean?
Yeah. So you have new Japanese planes, right? For the
Yes. Right now, yes, we are adding new Japanese planes for this DLC because this DLC is based more on early war periods, actually pre-war periods, because the Shanghai invasion is like in 1937. But we also have planes in games, like Japanese planes, of course, that are a bit old and might get reworks. Well, in general, this is falls more in the part of the roadmap where we basically explain that we are actually constantly reworking our vehicles. We have a guy in the team called Marco, just like me, Marcus Z on the Discord, which is constantly and most of the time working on revamping the vehicles and the weapons. He basically already reworked 99% of the weapons, really just a few of the weapons have not been reworked by him. And in the meantime, he's also, and now he's more and more focusing on it, reworking the vehicles. And that's will, of course, include the planes. He recently, for example, reworked the M2 Browning, the MG42 bipod, and some Japanese anti-aircraft gun, other tanks. Really working constantly on reworking vehicles, adding some new vehicles sometimes. Currently, mostly reworking them. And yeah, that will include definitely planes at some point. Planes we already have.
Okay, cool. So if you have any more questions about planes, please go ahead and ask them now, because we're going to move on to the next thing. And so get your questions. And we have some questions that I'm going to be going into later that just came in from the the Google form, so we'll be asking those. So I do see those, and we'll be asking those before we end. So I'm just trying to keep everything on topic for right now, but we'll ask about those things that you're asking about. I think it's capital T and proper that are asking these questions. So, let's see here. Looks like we got some more plane things here. Did I say another plane one? Any planes on Southeast Asia DLC potentially in the future? Oh, plans. Plans, never mind.
Plans.
Plans for Southeast Asia DLC. Okay, hold on to that thought, and we'll get back to that. But, so it doesn't look like there's any more plane questions. So we're going to move on to weapons, I think. Okay, let's move on to weapons. And this is all in development, and these are some new armor, some new placements, and we do have a question about placements that I did see earlier. So we're going to go ahead and pull that one up by Dino Guy. And he was asking if, what is he asking? Will static gun emplacements be able to be repaired in the future?
I don't have a precise plan to work on something like this right now, but definitely this is a feature that could be interesting to do. If there is time to work on something like this at some point, I'll definitely do. We have a lot of stuff that we are sure we are gonna implement, or at least try to implement in the near time. But this one specifically right now is not in our to-do list.
Okay. So,
but it could be cool. It could be cool. I mean, maybe in some months from now, the same question is asked again. The answer might change. It's not like something I don't want in my game, you know.
Okay, JB is asking about, can we get a M3 37 millimeter Mawa? I don't know what that is, but do you? An M3 37 millimeter Mawa?
I'm not sure what that is specifically. Let me actually Google it, because maybe it's something we are somehow working on and just don't know.
Yeah,
it with that
it's spelled
name.
MWAH.
Okay.
Is how he's
Yes.
spelling it.
Might be writing error, I guess. If it's referring to the M3 37 millimeter anti-tank American gun, I agree that is a vehicle that would need to be added. It was kind of popular in World War II. Generally, what I answer when someone asks, will you add this specific vehicle, weapon, or whatever? My answer is, man, I would really love to add every kind of vehicle or weapon that exists in World War II. And if the time and budget allow, I will definitely add everything I can. Everything that is possible.
Everything.
Definitely something this common as this gun just mentioned would really need to be added. So it's more likely to be added, more, let's say, faster than other kind of more rare vehicles, So no specific plans for this vehicle right now. Mostly we are working into stuff for the Sino-Japanese war, for the Shanghai War. At the moment when we work on vehicles and weapons, but surely when we are done with this, we are gonna have more time to get back into adding base game vanilla vehicles, and definitely I agree that M3 37 millimeter is one that deserve some decent priority.
Okay, so I think the answer to any further weapons questions is, will they add it? If they can, they probably will at some point, but the best place to find out and interact with them is on their Discord. Unfortunately, Marco, your Discord, you have invites turned off, so I could not post a link to the Easy Red 2 Discord, so you might want to change that setting. I don't know if that's on purpose, but I can't invite.
Invite turned off? Very strange.
Yeah, invites turned off, so I can't do that on your Discord. So I'll post that in the description. Okay. If they turn that off, I will post a link to their Discord. And that's where you want to go to make your suggestions. They have a whole section in there, and you're going to see everything they're working on. A lot of these images and stuff that we're showing here is stuff that Marco posts as he's working on it, as a team works on it. So for the future reference, is a weapon going to be in the game? Likely. And if you go to the Discord and talk about it, even more likely. So let me get some more questions in here. Let's go to the one I think is kind of interesting. Marco, did you intend the game to have more faster pace while still being focused on being a milsim? Or did you
So,
want to be slower, I guess?
well, I think the kind of pace the game currently has is sort of what we are aiming to keep, at least on the average mission. Right now, missions tends to basically have game modes that are kind of similar one to each other. But one thing that could change the pacing of the game in the future might be the inclusion of new game modes, which might come with something that I don't know if you intend to ask about later, but I just mentioned it with maybe scriptable missions. And basically, the thing is, if more kind of way to make missions, either with scripting or I don't know, more game modes comes, it's possible that maybe something more stealth or more command, as I was mentioning before, will come, which we would have actually a slower pacing. But scriptable mission could even bring the possibility to make custom missions more like, I don't know, team deathmatch or whatever. Surely it's not something that I intend to develop as in the vanilla game, something like a team deathmatch, but if scriptable mission comes, maybe it's gonna be something that is possible for the community to realize on their own. But if I have to think about the generality of the gameplay, I think that the current pacing is what I aim for, which is something where you can be in the battle in very few, if not in within seconds, at most within like 1 or 2 minutes. I don't want people to run in a field for many minutes, then die and restart. But I don't even want to make something too fast-paced to arcade, because I still want to make this game feel more like a playable documentary or a simulation game as much as possible. So if anything, probably the future game in-game game modes might include more slow pace and stealth stuff rather than more fast-paced things, I guess.
Okay. All right, here's another question related to, I guess, consoles. Will mods be available for consoles at some point?
Okay, this is a kind of long answer because we have been speaking on our Discord a lot. We have been explaining this a lot, and it's a good opportunity to kind of record this and basically have this long explanation now. So, modding on console is a complex topic because first you have to get approved by consoles, and the thing is, it's very hard even for us developers to get approved on consoles. Right now, we are basically waiting for the game to be, for example, released on PlayStation 4 and 5. And it's like the game is ready since, I don't know, November almost. But we have been adjusting a lot of stuff in order to get the game accepted. And we can do that because we are official, basically PlayStation, team, external developers. And PlayStation is really looking at what we are doing, is trying to see if what we are doing is follow their guidelines, and they can accept what we are doing. When it comes to modding, it's a bit more of a mess because PlayStation can't, of course, watch and approve every content that is gonna be made. So depending on how modding works, they might decide not to allow it or to partially allow it, or in general, it's very hard to ask to console to allow us to allow this kind of stuff and expect a positive answer. We already tried with Nintendo and Xbox, and we had a completely negative answer so far. And the main reason is because the way modding works right now in the game is by using this is a little bit technical, but it's by using some compilers that allows you to basically compile the mod and make it basically pack it to run on currently PC, Windows, Mac, and Linux. And the software that Linux, Mac, and Windows use to basically pack this kind of software are freely available. But in the case of consoles, this kind of softwares are not freely available. So in order for someone to make a mod that is compatible with console with the technology we use currently, we would need to give to the people softwares that are under NDA and basically allow them to use those. We have been spending though various weeks, like 2 months, maybe 3 months right now, me and another guy here in the studio with me, to rework completely the modding system in order to make it working completely different. And we have been speaking with the community about this, basically making the modding system to be a sort of system inside the game, not like external where you have to download an SDK, Unity or whatever, but basically a system like a menu in game where you can go in and say, okay, I want to create a tank. Perfect. Pick the model, pick the texture, pack the tank from within the game with technology all inside the game. But this didn't end up being so easy to do, too problematic, too complex, not well working on consoles anyway. So we scrapped this idea and we are now trying to attempt another way, which is going to be much more similar to the way that modders already know. So basically, we are trying to create a new system, hard to explain, because it's very technical, but a new system that will allow modders to make mods in the way that they always used to, with a little bit of limits on aspects that can't be ported to mods to consoles without giving them the NDA console softwares. But those limits are really be just a few of them. And if this succeed, then maybe we're gonna have some kind of mods that without external console softwares can run on consoles. And if this works, we are gonna go to consoles and ask them, can we let like user use this system to make their own mod, please? And still consoles are gonna have the final words. They might still say, no, this is too unpredictable. We don't have, maybe they're gonna say that they don't have enough control over what users say, and maybe they're gonna reject them. Maybe, I don't know, Xbox maybe are gonna approve them and PlayStation and Nintendo not. I don't know.
Okay.
But we are working extremely hard on this. Basically, what I want to say is that console users are not like abandoned on the modding topic. It's really something we have been working extremely hard in the last 2 months. We don't have good news yet, but we have surely been making a bit of progress, at least on understanding what could be a good path in order to try to do that.
Okay, I got another person here that says they're from your team. Funny? Do you know who Funny is?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's our map maker.
A map maker. Okay, welcome, Funny. I've enjoyed your maps. Did you work on the Tunisia?
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
all of himself.
Yeah, really nice map. Really immersive. I liked it. Very nice.
Yeah, definitely a great work. I agree.
Cool. Okay, cool. So let me just narrow this down. It sounds like you have a lot of things going on. Can you tell me what is the main thing you're working on right now, currently this week?
Okay, so there are two big topics basically that is taking my time in this very moment. Consider we are 8 in the team and everyone has different tasks, so I'm gonna speak for myself, but which is basically features more code related, but other members of the team might be working on completely different things. But myself personally, I'm mostly working with Sony to bring this build on PlayStation. Basically, this work consists on asking them, okay, is this build good? And they say, I don't know, we don't like this flag, or we don't like the way you invite people on the match, or I don't know. We want more system to control reporting of user in game. I can't go too much into detail, but basically this is the kind of stuff they ask. Basically more integration with the PlayStation, or more control over community guidelines, or not really censorship, but
So you're saying that's the Sony people that are telling you what they want?
I mean, they want the game to comply with some
okay.
guidelines about what, like, for example, there are fascist symbology in World War II that some console approve more, some others are much more restricted.
Okay.
So, like,
gotcha.
sometimes even symbology you don't really expect to be a problem at all, might be a problem in some specific country, and while some console doesn't get bothered too much about forcing you to follow rules about symbology in every single country of the world, other console makers are more into that. But yeah, generally PlayStation, what I can say is that is definitely trying to make the PlayStation build as user and how to say as family friendly as possible. Not family friendly, but like they expect maybe people to not all people to like what the game is gonna feature. It's war, it's
Yeah. So
people shooting and stuff. So yeah,
so do you
they
have to
want
do
this.
this for every patch or only for like DLC or like content updates? Do you have to do this
No,
every time?
every patch for every console is always needs some time for them to check if everything is compliant. In fact, the reason why updating on console is extremely slow is due to two reasons. Before this reason, there is the fact that sending build to console is like sending various gigabytes of material to them, which takes like one night for me to do that. So I can't like send them easily. I have to carefully plan what I need to send, and once I'm fully ready, I will send all of the files overnight. I wake up in the morning hoping that the network didn't crash during night, and then I wait for them to review the content.
Okay.
And so basically this makes the update on consoles being delayed, because they also need to be planned carefully. Because imagine I do all of this procedure and then there is a big bug in the game and I have to spend like a week to urgently fix it with all the console player having the issue. Console updates, differently from PC updates, needs to be really planned much ahead. While a PC update, like if there is a bug that comes out during this call, like a player tells us in the chat and it's a urgent thing, at the end of the call I jump in the engine, I fix it, and I publish the fix in like 10 minutes. But in console it can like be a week or even 2 weeks sometimes.
Okay, I gotcha. All right, so that is what you're working on currently, is a console update of some sort and getting it approved. So what
Yes,
else is going
and
on? What?
yes, and in fact, sorry, the other thing I didn't have the time yet to mention was in fact the other big thing I'm working on is, as said, the Sino-Japanese DLC. So
Okay, so you're working on
Japan.
that. What are you working on? Are you working on features, or what are you working on?
So my part in this aspect is mostly take what our team basically makes. For example, I take a vehicle made by Marcos G, as mentioned before, and I basically finalize the model. I implement it in game. I set up the weapons for it. I set up how it must spawn, how it can have sometimes, I don't know, multiple texture variants. Or I do the same thing for a weapon or a uniform. So basically, I take the pure 3D model and make it into something that the game can actually use, move, spawn, etc. Or I don't know. Sometimes I even do some modeling myself. Or for example, in the case of the buildings, previously I mentioned how the guy called Admiral Hippier, Arma 3 modder, helped us a lot by making some models on its own and giving those models to us. But most of his models are not like game ready for Easy 2. For example, some buildings he gave us were just pure buildings, so I took those buildings. Kevin, one 3D modeler in our team, helped me a lot about this, so we split the work and we took these buildings, make destruction, make low poly version to display at distance, make interiors being navigable by the AI, and finalize these buildings basically to be able to spawn in the game.
So, if I may interrupt you, is there a possible person that you could hire to do that so that you could work on other things, or is it not implemented that they could do it? You have to do it inside your engine, or no?
So, sort of. I mean, if someone is very much skilled on using the game engine, they could take this task, but other members on the team are more skilled on other aspects, like mostly 3D modeling, sounds, or whatever. There is not like another guy in the team that is game engine expert. So it's mostly something that I prefer to do myself. And even if there was someone expert with game engines, still the system we are using to make destruction happen in game, make vehicle firing, moving in game, etc., are systems that I coded. So it's probably more likely that I'm gonna spend way less time configuring them for our models because I know how they work, rather than giving this to other people that they might sometimes, even if the system are well documented, they might sometimes assume what is the best way, I don't know, to implement a tank, to implement a turret or a gun for a tank.
Okay.
In my case, it's way faster and easier for me because I coded those stuff. So at this very moment is less time consuming for the whole project if I take this part.
Okay, just wondering about that. Okay, Dino Guy has an interesting question that I was actually thinking about this the other day when I was playing. Is there some thought going into redoing the inventory for the soldiers?
I don't have in this moment ideas on what kind of rework we could do that. I'm open to hear ideas. Probably not something that we are gonna work on soon, but I don't have in this very moment reasons in mind
Okay.
why we should
Well,
prioritize it
for
or
me,
do it. But
what came up in my mind is because modern games are very much you open up your inventory and you can kind of drag and drop what you want and drag and drop what you don't want, and then you can see what you're putting on your soldier and stuff like that. So I think that's kind of like my thought was like the inventory looks very outdated compared to modern games, if that makes
okay.
sense. Yeah.
Okay, well, surely adding more features like drag and drop or quick actions or improving a little bit the aesthetics
Yeah.
is something that could be done
Yeah, I mean,
not even too much
yeah.
far in the future.
That's always the answer, right? It could be done, but not yet. But yeah, that's just something that came up, and that was I thought that was a good question because I was it did come to my mind when I saw it the other
Mhm.
day. So okay, so it's out there somewhere in the future someday maybe. That's cool. That's cool. Okay. Let's see. Will there be an option to mod custom camouflage? Oh, that's a good question. On current vehicles and
Um,
make them usable for other nations. Is there a way that you could put like a skin directory and just have like skins that you could kind of put into your on your tanks or whatever, dude?
um,
Helmets? Yeah, even on the
if
helmets.
some, so I think that it can be possible, like even without making a too much complicated system for the players. I can imagine in my head like a way to implement something like a player make its own mission and then I don't know creates a folder on the folder that contain mission files and put the kind of skins he would like his vehicle to have.
Yeah.
It's not something impossible to do. Surely it would be way easier to realize something like this for modded vehicles. So if someone makes a modded vehicle and want to have like texture variants of his tanks working like they work in the in-game, it's currently not possible actually,
Okay.
but it wouldn't be something too complex to realize. But making skins on vanilla vehicles, it's a bit more complex to realize.
Okay.
Still same answer, not a priority at the
Okay.
moment, but
I think
also not something that I don't want,
I think when I read
so
that question, I was thinking like it was something along the lines of like if you were in a group of guys playing on a server and you all wanted to put like a little armband on your soldier or something, it would be like a decal system where you have a directory and you all drop your little logo in there or something and then it loads in the game when you on your soldier or something like that. That's what came to my
yeah.
mind. Or on your tank, you want to
Oh,
put your logo on the side of the tank.
so for the armbands, we have a system where you can put the rank logo of soldiers, which depends on the uniform it gets displayed or
Oh, what
not
the heck?
displayed or displayed in a
Sorry.
specific position.
I'm in California and there's probably a fire. Sorry.
Oh,
Okay, keep
hope
going.
you're fine. Well, I was saying basically currently you can make custom patches for soldiers arms, and that they goes exactly where like vanilla patches goes, like for battalion logos.
Uh-huh.
The idea of this system was also to make it work on vehicles, like side decals of vehicles, like logos on planes and tanks. There are already actually some placeholder, how to say, code, some not
Okay.
finished code,
Okay.
implement something like this. So I would say it's work in progress.
Okay. That's cool.
But mhm.
I like it. All right. Good question. Good question. All right. So let's move on to we got a few more, like quite a few sections to go through. So let's go into the next section that you guys have been working on, and I believe it's for the add-on as well, which is uniforms. You've been actually doing some graphical updates, giving more, I guess, like grain to wool or something like that on the uniforms. And then you've got some new coats and stuff. Go ahead. Talk. Sorry.
Well, little fun fact, I've personally never been extremely knowledgeable about uniforms until like, I don't know, 1 year ago. And it's an aspect that I overestimated a lot. But with the time, I found out that a lot of players are like knows everything about uniforms, knows like the color that the uniform had 1 year and how it was changed just another year because, I don't know, kind of difficulties on supplying the, I don't know, paint to make the color of the uniforms. Like there is a whole world about historical accuracy and details on uniforms. And so at some point I decided to focus more on that because those kind of players were becoming more and more, you know.
Were they rude to you?
Request.
Marco, tell the truth. Were they rude to you?
No, it's not rude to, definitely not rude to wish for a game that calls itself historically accurate to ask for historically accurate uniforms.
Yeah, but did they say, Marco, that button is on the wrong place. It should be 1 inch higher. Did they do that?
I mean, well, when you work online, there's people that ask the same thing in two ways. Some people are extremely polite. Some people are like, "Fuck this game. This uniform doesn't have the correct, color for a button or whatever." But in the end, the important thing is there is something that is wrong in the game and should be correct if we want to call this accurate. So yes, even if I had no idea on how to make uniform historically correct, we try to focus more on asking that to people that knows more than me and more than the rest of the team. And we recently acquired our 8th member of the team. Ardennes is his nickname, and his only work is to work on uniform. He has a ton of experience on that. He can on its own find resources to make historically accurate uniforms. Because basically, he did that for most of his 3D modeling, how to say, time that basically spent on learning 3D models. So he knows a lot about World War II uniforms, and he knows how to make them well, and he really did a great work. Like this uniform we're displaying right now, one of his recent work, this is a German winter coat uniform. I know very little about him, but the exact shade of gray, the exact position of the buttons. He made like 2 variants, one for the Stalingrad front and one for the Bulls, because apparently there was a little bit color difference on that. Or here, like the differences of this infantry uniform on the boots, the gaiters, the way the pants were put, the open, close collar, a lot of details that I really had no idea about German infantry uniforms. He knows a lot, he knows what he's doing, he listened to the community, and the results are great work, and most of all, extremely historically accurate. Way more than what we ever used to have.
Okay, cool. So Jose has a question. What are the next uniforms that are planned to be reworked or added?
So right now, let me see, because I don't exactly remember. Here it is. Yes, of course. Well, we are still finishing working on some SS uniforms, some German uniforms, sorry. In particular, we want to make the smocks for the SS uniforms, and then we want to move on the Italian ones, because we haven't been able to. We have been reworking them a bit in the past, but we haven't been able to fully rework them, and we want to do it properly, adding more variants, more vests, more, of course, historical accurate uniforms in general. And I mean, that's enough. It's already enough information for like probably 2 or 3 months of work. Like we can probably realize one uniform in 1 or 2 weeks. So finalizing the German uniforms and making the Italian uniforms is already like some months of work, because that's gonna include like 4, 5, 6 uniforms, something like that, plus the vests, so the gear, the webbing, the backpacks, etc., and probably some helmets, headgear, caps, etc. So
And you said
it's already a lot of work.
you said smock,
Mhm.
didn't you? You said smock.
I think the way it's called is mock. I'm not
Yeah.
sure
Okay. No, because
if
someone was
an
asking
English
if you're
word.
going to
Mhm.
add the I can never
Uh-huh.
say this, Wehrmacht smock plan for
Mhm.
adding German squads in Germany.
Yes, it's if I'm not mistaken, it's literally the next uniform we are gonna work on.
Okay, cool. And then we have someone asking about the Australian uniforms. Anything
So
going on there?
we have an Australian uniform in game, but apparently it turns out that the maps that we have that features Australia didn't really use that uniform. So technically, we should, if we want to be accurate, switch that with a British uniform. But at some point, yes, I know some people wants to have the Australian uniform to be improved, to be higher quality, more in the standards of the recent rewards we had, and also more accurate. We could do that. We will probably do it at some point, but in the end, it's not something that we should really use for the vanilla content, because even if we had and we currently use it, we probably will swap it out with a normal British uniform, because the environment in the game that currently use it
Yeah.
normally should not use it actually.
Okay. So just to recap, in case people are joining us late, what is the current things that you're working on that you're not thinking about anything else right now? I know there's people that are asking about new weapons and new tanks and all that stuff, but what are you currently working on that you're trying to get done this month?
Well, let's see. Still talking about my personal part of the work, right? Not for the rest of the team,
No,
or in
just
general
just,
for
just in
the game.
general, just in general. Like what are you focused on? You're focused on patching the consoles, right? We knew that.
Okay, so big recap. So me, I'm working on, yes, finalizing PlayStation console, PlayStation version. So we're gonna have finally all the modern consoles supporting the game,
Mm-hmm.
until Nintendo Switch 2 comes out, and then I will have to do a new console release for bring the game there. But yeah, for the moment, that's 50% of basically my work. The other 50% is on implementing the Sino Japanese Word DLC stuff that the team is providing me.
Yes.
And basically, well, rest of the team is generally working on, yes, Ardennes has mentioned more uniforms, so these German and Italian uniforms. We are making some weapons for the Sino-Japanese DLC, and to in general improve the quality of some weapons we have in the vanilla game. Animation wise, we are reworking some third person animation, especially on vehicles, to, for example, improve the animation of soldiers, like on open top vehicles mostly, like landing boats, or I don't know, open top jeeps or whatever. In particular, we're improving. We are making a feature that is already available in some vehicles, where you can crouch, pressing C inside vehicles to cover, and this is gonna be interesting, especially in landing craft vehicles, where you can only wait for the moment, wait to be landed on the beach, and you can't do anything. At least you will have some sort of interaction in the vehicle once this animation is ready, and also it can be helpful to protect yourself from
Oh,
planes or
that's
MGs
cool.
on the beach. Yes, John, our animator, is working on that, and along with that is, well, reworking, improving first-person weapon animations as well. What else is John doing? Let me think. More animations. Well, basically, it's that. Yeah, modeler in general and animator are mostly working on weapons, uniforms, vehicles, buildings for the Sino-Japanese DLC, actually. Let me see. Funny, mentioned before, Mapmaker is also working on Nanking and Shanghai maps, and he will soon also work into map rework for Anzio and Quadrain. And I think that's all.
All right.
Well, there is those just the signs I mentioned everyone but him. There is also, of course, Moss, our sound designer. Reason why I didn't include it is because its general job is always to provide sounds for new weapons that are coming and improve sounds we already have. So generally, he always do mostly this task, or sometimes he provides other kind of sounds. So nothing exactly new from his side, just his usual great work of providing the actual sounds for everything we implement. So that is also, of course, also his part and his work
All right.
in the game.
So I think Robert has a great idea for the next DLC after this one, the Great Emu War. I think that would be pretty amazing. Do you think you can make that
Definitely,
happen?
yeah. Yeah, actually, you got me. That's what the next DLC we are working on. We
April
have been
1st?
calling it. Yes, we have been calling this DLC Sino-Japanese War, but actually it's the Emu War, and in the end, it's like it was meant to be a surprise. Yeah,
It's coming out April 1st, though, right?
exactly.
Yeah,
April 1st.
okay. Very cool. Can't wait for that. So I heard that they actually lost that war. The Australians lost that war, so should be really sad.
Yeah, it's gonna be Emu side DLC. You know, the main side to play is gonna be the Emu because
Oh,
you know
okay.
you need
Okay. So what do? You just eat a
more
lot,
fun
don't you?
gameplay.
Do you just eat a lot? I think you eat a lot.
I think so. Yeah, mostly. So new melee feature basically.
Very cool. All right, can't wait for that. So Tomcat says he loves the game, but he also says that he seems to have some frustration with the creation tools. I don't think I've had too many problems with the creation tools. So Tomcat, if you could elaborate on what's frustrating you, that would be helpful because I'm curious what you're having trouble with
Hmm.
when it comes to the creation tools. Map making?
Yeah, it's more like exactly. It's more like map making, mission making, or
Yeah,
modding.
because I think
Uh-huh.
it's pretty straightforward. I can't think of anything. The only thing that used to confuse me early on, but it's been like a long time, was like the squad creation. Like where it was like
Mm.
I could never find it. Like, where's the squad creation? But I usually find it eventually and make the squads. But how you assign their things were a little bit weird back in the day. I don't know if it's changed any,
Hmm.
but like assigning them weapons and stuff was a little strange. But that's all I can remember. So let us know, Tomcat, what you got going on. All right, let's move on to buildings because buildings are cool and that adds more content to the game, which makes you be able to make new maps with different buildings and different looks. So talk about the buildings in this new add-on.
Okay, so well, for the Sino Japanese DLC, probably actually I'm calling it like this, but we have still to define the game. Is probably the name, but it's probably being like Shanghai Nanking DLC. But anyway, for this DLC, again, thanks for Admiral Hippier, we have been able to bring way more buildings than usual. Mostly Admiral Hippier and Kevin from the team work on these, and basically we are bringing like more than 100 props, and most of them are going to be buildings. Most of them are going to be enterable with destruction. Many are going to be big city buildings. Shanghai is like a very big city, and some fights happened in the main city center areas where like buildings that are almost skyscrapers are there. So it's going to be kind of interesting scenario, very different from what we are used to see in other missions. There's also going to be a lot of rural areas with rural buildings and rice fields and other rural China landscapes. But I believe the city and the buildings part is going to be mostly important, mostly interesting. What you are showing at the moment, though, is also other kind of buildings and props we have been working on. Not all we are doing right now is for the Shanghai Nanking DLC. Most of it is, but we are also making like small props and other kind of buildings for the general game. Like you were showing a second ago, some road signs made by Kevin that can be used in most Europe environments and are going to be used, or these new props you're showing here. So yeah, basically Robert G in chat, Sal in the Discord, that's the same person, different nickname, and Kevin, the two 3D artists we have in the team, basically for the buildings. Those two great guys are mostly working into new buildings and props for the overall game, and Admiral Hippier, an external guy helping us, again armatry modder mostly, along with Kevin from the inside the team, they're working together basically to make the Sino-Japanese DLC buildings.
Okay. And I have a question and a feature request. Yeah. You know I always come with feature requests, right? So something I kind of always wanted inside the mission editor, or maybe the map editor. I'm not sure where. Maybe the map editor. Was the ability to have some kind of particle editor to like create different types of smokes and fires so that they don't always look the same. Is that something that could be doable? I know it's doable, but do you think it's something that you'd like to do?
Actually, it's a very interesting area. I didn't think about that. I mean, before I mentioned replying to the question about modding on console, how we are attempting different methodologies to make mods, and one was to make mods from within the game instead of from Unity. Unfortunately, again, it's probably not the way we are going to do it. But if we were shifting into that direction, everything that can be made with modding, with current modding system, so that includes custom particle system, would have been made through the eventual new in-game modding system, including particles. But since we are still going on with something that in the end is going to be more similar to the current modding system, the current way and the future way to make particle system is still going to be mostly using the modding SDK and the modding system. However, it could be interesting to make a simplified version of that, which wouldn't be extremely complex, and to make it like inside the map or mission editor instead. In the end, it's mostly gonna be like, this is the PNG with the fire or smoke texture or whatever, and you set up just a few parameters to say how you want it to be emitted. But yeah, more complex particle system setup already exists in the modding system, and some people are actually making some interesting mods just about those on the Steam Workshop.
So could a particle mod be created that has maybe options on that mod so that you could just so you don't have to make the mod itself, but someone creates a particle mod, then you're in the mission editor, and then maybe you can click on that particle mod and like change settings. Could that be possible? Like,
I don't know about this in particular. I mean,
okay, I'm giving you a hard time. Don't think about it too hard. Don't think about it too hard.
Yeah. I mean, technically it's it would be possible, but it's something extremely specific. So it's very unlikely.
Well, because I was thinking more like, you know how you have like rain and you can like set the setting for the rain, like I was thinking like that kind of mod kind of thing. Okay, never mind. I featured requested. I'm done. Let's move on. Oh wait, no, we're moving to maps. I have another question, another feature request. Okay, here's the map. So I'm showing the map. That looks beautiful. Whoever did that map.
Funny, of course.
What is that map? Yeah. What is that? What am I looking at?
That is a landscape of the Shanghai rural area.
Okay, and the next picture is of, what is that, Russia?
This is still Shanghai. This is the sort of city center near the famous warehouse where the Chinese units basically defended in the later stages of the Shanghai battle. Basically, where the battle was lost for the Chinese faction. Basically, that warehouse across the river there. It's probably be one of the last missions of the DLC of the Shanghai map part of the DLC, because the Nanking one is the second half, and it starts just after the fall of Shanghai, basically.
Okay, feature request. Are you ready? Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but some of the maps, don't they have like rivers? And how come there's not a river tool?
This is definitely something that needs to come at some point. I completely agree. Why there is no river tool? Well, because it's actually hard to make it, and it's already hard to make the visual part, like, I don't know, like something where you say, okay, I want the river to pass from this, and that point, and the river gets rendered, already kind of complex. And even more complex is to make physics of the water happens where you draw the river area.
Okay.
Not impossible.
I thought it was like
Not
it
impossible.
would be like a road tool. You know how what do they call those things? I forgot the name of those things. You know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about? What is that
Yeah.
thing
Yeah.
called when you have it in the game and then you draw like a line and then like it follows the lines to each.
Yeah. It's not like the way we make roads in game with lines tools, but yeah, the same idea to make roads using a line, like placing points and connecting them with lines and stuff, would be this probably a similar system for rivers. Yeah. When I would say if, but it's very likely that we're gonna do something like this at some point. So when we're gonna implement this, it's gonna be both for rivers and roads for sure.
Okay. Oh, question. I thought we had this. Are we not able to select multiple objects at once in the editor?
You can.
You
can
can.
already.
Yeah, that's what I thought,
Yes,
JB.
yeah.
Yeah. How do you do it? Do you just draw a box? Do you have to hold Shift or something?
Yes, so I don't remember if this works both in map and mission editor, probably only map editor because mission editor usually has just a few dozen objects in the end, it's just spawns and stuff. But in the map editor, you have a drag and drop window where you can select multiple stuff or you can shift select stuff.
So
maybe
JB's
there are
saying that
even
you
other
can't
ways.
do it in the mission editor, he says.
You can, don't remember. He said that you can or you can't?
He says you can't in the mission editor.
Okay. Possible. It's very possible. Yeah, I didn't remember that exactly. I mean, I think I improved that like various months ago. When the game is so big, it's sometimes even hard to remember what I did and what I didn't.
Yeah.
I surely consider it, but again, in the mission editor, mission editor is meant to let you not put too much stuff because it would be unperformant. Normally, most of the stuff should be in the map side. And the mission side, you should usually just set up the missions or the spawns and stuff like this.
Yeah.
So probably it was kind of pointless to waste a lot of time to developing a tool like that there as well. If in the end it's not the common, like the way that the editor is supposed to work. But for the map editor, when we implemented it, it really made the difference. Like it's night and day difference, even for funny making the maps. Official maps.
Well, I think the big thing was you're able to click on an object now, right? That was something that drove me crazy, trying to get an object that was under the ground or something, and you couldn't click on it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's also definitely a big improvement that came with that update. Definitely, being able not just to click the label over the objects, but even the objects themselves. Yeah.
Exactly, amazing. Okay, here's a question, but I'm not too sure if it's real. I don't think I've seen this before, but he says, will there be an option to set the maximum limit of tanks, vehicles on the battlefield? In some missions in Tunisia, some missions get flooded with tanks and no infantry as tanks from previous phases accumulate, preventing new infantry from spawning.
Well, first, some Tunisia missions are definitely really tank-centered. So, yeah, normally in some missions it's normal to see a lot of tank battles, but there are some tools to already prevent tanks from being exaggerated. Like there are respawn delays for vehicles from since a few months now, but further improvement of the mission systems, I'd like them to come with the not described yet in this call, in this live scripting system that I hope we're gonna have time to spend a few words about.
I do,
because
I have questions.
Because that's something that could, if done properly, revolution the way missions works in general.
Yeah, so it'll make it truly a World War II sandbox, I think.
Definitely way more sandbox, definitely, but sometimes even way more more customizable, more unique missions, basically.
I mean, you could almost make Call of Duty 1, right? Maybe. Okay. Here's a question I think...
I mean, probably.
Here's a question I think you answered, but I forgot what the answer was. Can we get an option to repair static guns?
Yes. as the answer that I gave before, and it's gonna be the same.
I forgot what it
is
was.
yes, it's something that I'd like to bring, definitely.
Okay.
Not something that is planned to be worked in any precise moment
So,
at the moment.
do
For
you
now.
have like
But
all these questions that I mean, I'm sure you've heard a lot of these questions and suggestions. Do you have like a document of like things you're not working on, but like all of these ideas that people are saying? Do you write them down?
yeah, definitely. I'm pretty sure, like, there are hundreds of stuff there. I'm pretty sure repairable static vehicles, static emplacement is written there somewhere. The document is ordered already by what I feel like is more priority.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Most of the stuff are not worth to be mentioned because, some stuff are extremely complex to realize. Some stuff are just um, not worth the time at the moment to be made. So it's more like, I don't know, a wish list of feature for myself to add to the game. Most of them coming, of course, from people's suggestions. There are some that are like in a zone of the document where it's more like stuff that I'm surely gonna develop and soon. Like, I don't know.
Okay.
A simple example is Sino Japanese DLC is there, of course.
Yeah.
But some other features, like bomber gameplay that I described before, are more like in the hopefully coming document, basically,
Do
of
you,
the
do
coming
you
area of the document.
do you
Mhm.
remember all of the features I was asking about like 3 years ago? Do you remember?
I don't.
I
I
was
don't
asking
remember.
I was asking for B-17s, aircraft
Oh,
carriers, submarines. Remember all that?
okay. I didn't remember the specific suggestions.
Yeah.
But bombers are coming. I
Submarine?
mean, guards are coming. Sorry, just in case someone came late. We are going to experiment over bombers soon.
We're,
Not sure if they're coming.
yeah.
Um,
Submarines?
aircraft carriers are there as static models. Maybe it's gonna move
No,
someday. I don't know.
I wanna
But submarines, I mean, would be extremely cool.
because you know
Submarines,
what?
but
I miss Battlefield 1942. Did you ever play that game?
mhm. I played a bit. Did it have submarines?
Yeah, it had a submarine. It was very simple.
Oh,
You could dive and you could come up and shoot torpedoes at the destroyers. And then
cool.
they had the map, remember, that was like water, and then everybody would try to hide the aircraft carrier in one of the corners so that they wouldn't bomb it and take out the planes because you couldn't spawn planes after that. That was for like Wake Island or something, or not Wake Island, like a little Iwo Jima Island or something. So yeah, it was
Oh.
cool. So that's why I always bug you.
I mean, yeah. I mean, submarines means that maps really needs to be focused on naval battle much more.
Yeah.
Right now, if we are gonna go into developing more kind of aspects,
Easy
is
Red 3?
definitely no, it's definitely gonna be aircraft aspects, in particular bombers, as I said.
Okay.
Once we are very happy with all the air combat aspect,
Okay.
maybe we're gonna dive more into naval
Okay,
combats.
okay. So there was a naval question that I skipped. So somebody was asking about it. So there's your answer. And I got my answer too. Okay, here's a question by Bradley. Can we have a party system where we can have people on other platforms join your squad that can only happen with like a friend on your current platform? I guess he's saying. So,
Actually, that would be very, very, very interesting. Currently, it's possible to join friends that are in your friend list of your system. So, if you have a PlayStation, you can join PlayStation friends. I mean, you can't because PlayStation is not out yet, but when it will be possible, and it's possible with Steam friends and Xbox friends.
okay.
But yeah, if you play from Xbox, you can't join a squad from a PC friend because you can't add team friends on Xbox, of course. But yeah, actually can be interesting and not even hard to implement something where you click on the player list and say something like, okay, allow this player to join my squad or something. Actually, it's really probably half day of work, so I'm gonna write it down right now.
Okay. Look at that, Bradley. He's
Let me
writing it
write.
down.
Join friends.
He never writes mine down.
On
Did you notice that when I make suggestions, he doesn't write it down?
I mean, I write this down mostly because it's something that can be implemented quite quickly and can be very interesting to
Oh,
have.
see, he's
But
saying he's not
I mean,
implementing my ideas. You see how he is.
I mean, if your ideas are bombers or submarines, they are both on the list. I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
bombers are very high and submarines are very down, but they are both on the list. So I can't write them down just because they are
Well,
already
just write
there.
it down to make me feel better. Just write it down.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
I mean, submarines is there. What else you wanted? Movable aircraft carriers.
Yeah, movable aircraft
Um,
carriers. Yeah,
how high enough in
and
the list is it gonna
a
be?
destroyer with depth charges.
Okay, I'm gonna put them very, very low because this is like 2 months of developments, and
Oh,
I
okay.
I think uh, people that are waiting for the DLCs are
All
not
right.
gonna be
Can I?
happy to.
All right. Can I?
Mhm.
Here's another one. I think I asked you this before. Can I get generic building blocks that I can stretch and make larger and smaller? So I can make them skinny. I can stretch them high. I can basically like building shapes. Can I get that?
Um, Let me think. So right now it's possible. It's there. It's possible to have some blocks already, if I remember, but you can only stretch them in one direction.
Right.
Stretching them in multiple direction
Yeah.
can be, I mean, improvement on the system. I'm a bit afraid of these working on every, because probably it's, if added, is something that could be added to every building, every prop. I wonder if that can cause issues with, like, I don't know, if you stretch a house in one direction only, if it can break the collision or something. It can be hard to
Just write it
handle it.
down. Just write it down.
Just write it down.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I
I
wanted.
mean, I understand why something like this can be helpful, of course. I mean, someone can really be very extremely creative with something like this. I'm really thinking the best way to implement this, not because I want, to waste time on, yeah, will I add it or not, but more like, what's the best idea to add this to really make it helpful. That's just my
Yeah.
thinking about it. Because I see the potential of actually something like this, actually.
Okay. Cool. Let's get to a few more things because we need to get to the roadmap. Because there's some questions asked that I kind of want to ask when we get to the roadmap. So let's get to the next thing, which is some dev releases that you did, which was the Type 24, and just talk about this animation and the gun itself, because you're showing it off, so it must be pretty cool.
Yeah. Actually, yes. Again, credits to Admiral Hippier coming from Arma 3. I don't know if he invented or extremely interesting technical ways to implement some stuff. So far in the game, we had, not even from much time ago, but we implemented systems to animate static MG's belts, and it could allow basically belts to move in some ways, but like if you had a super clip belt like the Japanese static MG, it works perfectly well where the ammo enters from one side and the belt enters the other side. It's actually quite complex to realize something like that. But Admiral,
They're shooting. I'm sorry. Hold on. There seems to be shooting. My bad. Let me turn that off. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's shooting. I hope in the clip of his return, not outside of your house.
No. The video clip was shooting. So you might want to
Okay.
start over with what's unique about this gun, because they couldn't hear because.
So the unique thing is what you're seeing right now. The belts enter from one side with the ammos and leaves from the other side without. Again, not my. I mean, the implementation is mine here, but the original idea and the original model is by, again, credits to Admiral Hipper, who saw about the way to implement this. I'm not gonna describe exactly how technically this works because it's like kind of complex. I mean, you have to know a lot of 3D modeling to understand this, but it's a solution to a problem that many people wanted for the game, which is being realistically correct about ammo belts, which in the real life they come from one side and leave from the other side, and they just doesn't just come from one side, or they, this really is different from what we had before, and it's nice to have this kind of system implemented for the first time into this weapon coming.
Yeah, no, that looks amazing. I know, I see what you're talking about with the belt moving around. So when that ammo box is empty, Does the rest of the clip kind of keep going until it's gone?
Like, I mean, if you see here, you see that the ammo belt on the right now is coming outside of the box, but at some point you can't really see it very well. But yeah, at some point the belt, the box on the right gets empty, and the last bullet enters the MG
Yeah.
until there is no bullet left
And then it's
coming
gone.
inside,
Oh, that's
and then
cool.
it's gone. Yes, yes.
Nice. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. We
Okay.
had a system like this, but it was not this accurate and this complex. So yeah, this is an evolution of a system we had based on this new technique. Yes.
Now, is that going to be reloadable where the guy will try to reload a new ammo box or no?
So for vehicles, including static vehicles, we are reworking animations in general to be more quality, but still interaction between animations and vehicles are still gonna be a bit rudimental because the nature of the game prevents us to make something too much interactive. I mean, between animations, between humans and vehicles, unfortunately. So
Okay.
it's not gonna be an evolution on over the reloading system.
Okay. So the next thing we have to show off is it looks like you've been doing a lot of work on reloading animations. So I'm going to show those videos. And here we go.
Uh,
So tell us what have you changed? What's the difference between the old reloading systems?
okay, so actually, this is John from the team, which suggested us to do this, and he's the same guy which is animating this. I mean, there's many people actually asked to do something like this, and this requires on my side to implement some decent amount of code to make this happen. And John basically asked to speed up doing this because this is kind of requested. It could be cool, and we are gonna do it. I'm referring mostly to the first animation you saw in the clip about the Lee infield animation reload. Basically, the thing is, when your rifle holds more than 5 bullets, like the Enfield, which holds 10 bullets, you can individually load the bullets, or you can use a stripper clip and then keep feeding the rifle with more bullets. Right now in game, you either can fully reload the rifle with the Enfield with 2 stripper clips, or when the rifle is not fully empty, just individually reloading the entire rifle 1 bullet per time. But in real life, you can combine them. You can let's say you have to reload 7 bullets in game. Right now, you load 7 bullets individually, but dynamically, the best system would be loading. Here it is, loading the first stripper clip and then the additional 2 left bullets. Okay, here in the animation, you see loading the individual bullets, but if the clip continues, you will see also, okay, here it is, stripper clip, and then, okay, another stripper clip. But let's say you didn't have the rifle empty, you could have
Okay.
put a stripper clip and then individual
So
bullets.
partial reloads is what you're saying. Huh?
We have partial reloads, but not with stripper clips mixed with individual bullets. It's either only individual bullets or only stripper clips. It's a bit hard to say, but it's more like dynamical reload, where you can put multiple stuff. While all other clips you are showing are instead just, reworks of animation we have. I want to spend 2 words here. We started reworking animation in first person when Jean entered the team 2 years ago, I think. He made a huge improvement over the animations we had, which were work I did. Back then, we had less budget. It was only me working on most aspects, including animation. But then Jean, coming from Fallout New Vegas modding community, came and said, okay, I can make good animation. He started making some animation on commission, and with little time, actually, he proved to be an extremely good animator. So he reworked most of the first-person animations, and now he's mostly working third-person ones. But these clips you are showing, other than the new system for the lean field we're going to implement, also recently wanted basically to rework some animation he already reworked to make them even better. So except for the lean field, which is a new system. All other animation you show here are improvements over animation, over great animation you already made. So are improved animations of improved animations.
Okay. Sounds complicated, but it looks amazing. All
No,
right.
yeah, definitely triple A work in my
All right,
opinion.
so we're moving on to the end of this, which is the current roadmap. Ooh. Okay, so I'm kind of blind, so I'm going to make this bigger. So let's see here. So,
Okay.
upcoming. Okay, so the green check marks mean done, right? They're done.
Yeah,
Okay,
done.
so let's upcoming news. Let's see. You had new body face system done. New sound system for automatic weapons done. What did that do? What does the new sound system do?
Basically, especially for looped weapons like SMG, automatic guns, the previous system was considered to be a bit underwhelming to many users, so we reworked that entirely. So basically, now automatic gun sounds way more authentic, way more um, real. Hard to explain. It's a
Okay.
different way where we manage how we manage and we make sounds,
Okay.
but the result is definitely night and day, in my
Okay.
opinion.
Cool. Well, you know what? I was asked. Remember, like, I think it was like a month ago. I was asking, can we get the old version of Easy Red 2 and then compare? But we can't, right? It's lost forever. The old version
Oh, I mean, you are gonna find a pirate website that surely
has a
give it.
virus.
I yeah, I mean, I don't have an old version. I mean, I might be able to recompile or something an old version, but
Yeah.
um, pirate website still holds a lot of
Yeah.
old version. Probably, I wouldn't suggest to go
No,
there
I
mostly
maybe I
because
can just find somebody's video online that recorded it a long
yeah,
time ago. Because it
yeah,
would
yeah.
be really
There's a lot of
cool to show how different this game is from, what's it, when did this, is it 2 years yet? Has it been 2 years?
since the release of the game.
Yeah.
Well, the first alpha came in late 2020, if I remember correctly. The
Oh,
first
really? Oh, okay.
downloadable one. Yeah, it's
Okay.
actually quite old. Yeah, it's 4 years basically.
Wow.
4 years.
Okay.
But yeah, the first year was really prototyping year of features and stuff. So like the game started evolving very much like from beginning of 2022, I'd say.
Okay. Wow. Well, it's come a long way. So we've got
Yeah.
destructible static vehicles done, destructible vehicle tracks done. That's on tanks, and wheels,
Hmm.
right? On wheels on vehicles, actually.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And can they be repaired like the tanks, or no? Once they're broke, they're broke.
Yeah. No, they can. They can.
Oh, okay, cool. Let's see. Crouch on top of vehicles. Ooh, 30% done.
Yeah, I mean, right now it works on mostly open top vehicles and static vehicles, static MG vehicles. So like the Brownings, the MG42, both in I don't know half tracks or open top tanks,
Okay.
and the static ones you can press C and crouch, so you
So
get in cover
can
basically.
we can't ride on back of tanks into battle yet, right?
You can't sit on top of a tank, no. But this crouch system is more like as I was saying before, like being able in future to crash inside like open top
Oh,
tracks,
okay.
open tops,
Gotcha.
landing crafts. So
Okay.
to give you a bit of gameplay even where you are waiting to be deployed or to even just cover yourself while and even like imagine you are landing on a beach and a plane starts shooting the boats and all soldiers crouching the boats and you see this and
Oh,
it's
in the
kind of interesting.
boats. Oh, okay.
For example, yeah, also boats, but not just boats. Every open top vehicles basically
Okay, cool,
is
cool.
the plan.
All right, so next up is scripting system for AI and missions, but let's go back to that because I want to ask questions about that. So let's skip that for right
Hmm.
now. You've got a
Okay.
PS4 and PS5 releases, and they're waiting to be approved, I guess, right?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
We've got I don't know how to say this, Kawajalen? Kawajalen?
Quadzalane.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's,
and that's yeah.
and you're reworking, those are the maps, right? The
Yeah,
original
those are
maps.
the first two maps added to the game. We want to, in the case of Quetzalcoatl, what we want to do is to make the map more appealing and more historically correct because the current map, for gameplay reason, had more hills than the actual map had, and maybe a little bit less destruction and structures than the actual map had. So we want to make it more correct. For who knows the game, the map is gonna look a little bit more raw in Amur map we have.
Yeah.
While Enzio, what we are probably gonna do is to rework some buildings to make them a little bit more actual Italian looking. I mean, more than what they actually are. Maps a little bit more historically correct and a little bit more in quality of the current rework we recently
So
made.
here's a question, and I think this is what JB is kind of asking as well. So when you redo these maps, do you also redo the weapons in the missions and stuff like that, or do you just redo the maps and the look of the map? Do you rework the missions?
Redoing maps usually means reworking also missions, yes,
Okay.
squads sometimes inside the missions, and in case of Enzio and I don't know, cost rework, for example, recent cost rework,
Yeah.
also some buildings.
Okay, because he's asking if you're gonna add like a 75 millimeter pack howitzers.
Why, sir? Officer, I think it means no. Wait a second. What it says? Okay. Yeah, no, we are gonna add also some tanks and some vehicles, some guns. Yeah, probably we are gonna add something, but it's not like we have precise plans for Enzo and Quadzalane in terms of what we are gonna add in terms of new weapons and vehicles, but likely we're gonna add some. Like the idea is we are now right now working on the Sino Japanese DLC.
Yeah.
When we are done with that, we are gonna work into that. And like Marcus working on weapons and vehicles is not like gonna go in pension. Is still working on the game, so it's gonna go work on vehicles and weapons that are useful for what we are developing at that moment. So yes, Sino Japanese, Quadzalane and then Series works. We don't have precise plans yet, but once we are reworking those stuff, people are gonna suggest us what the reworked missions are gonna probably mostly need.
Cool. So what's really cool about this game is you're going back and like refining old missions and stuff like that, and updating the graphics and the process and everything. That's cool. Here's a generic little thing you got here. Will you add this thing that is common in World War II? And the answer is, if we can, we will, and maybe eventually someday, right? Pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, if you ask about a uniform weapon, vehicles, or instrument that was used in World War II,
yeah,
and was not like a secret project or something that fantasy stuff, but actual stuff that was on the field, yeah, why not? I mean, I am pro to add everything. The thing is, time is limited. That's only limit. So we have to, every time we have time to develop something new, we have to pick it depending on what it's more urgent. Like, do we need to add something urgently? Because if not, do we have some old model that really should be reworked?
Yeah.
It's hard to pick what is a priority, but yeah, that's the way we normally decide to work on new models.
All right, improvements. New animation inside vehicles, 30% done. So does that count for, I think there was some talk about being able to peek out as a tank driver, open it up or something like that. Is that part of that?
It can be part of that. I mean, it's gonna be something in that case more similar to, yes, the crouch inside vehicles, like the opposite of crouch inside vehicle in that case. Not in crouching, but living. We don't have exactly precise plans about that, but during this third-person animation rework, we are experimenting. With peeking outside of vehicles, yes.
All right, and what is this rework of most vehicles? 15% done. What are you reworking?
Yeah, we have a lot of old models of vehicles that Marcus G is the nickname. Marcus is the actual name. The modeler of our vehicles and weapons, the current modeler, came into the team not long time ago, but helped us externally for a while. And he is basically reworking all the older vehicle models we have. Like, I don't know, let me see what. For example, he recently reworked the Type 96 anti-air gun, or the M101 artillery, US artillery. I don't remember if that's the name. Other ideas we have in mind to rework, if there is no more urgency to actually add vehicles. What is gonna rework? Probably the Shermans, making all the variants we also need for the campaigns, or reworking all the simple Panzer lineage, so Panzer II, Panzer III, etc.
Yeah.
I mean, this is more like a wish list again. It's surely gonna come at some time if we still have the time and the budget to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the idea we have with Marcus is to rework all those old vehicle models that are not with the same quality of the new vehicles we are adding. Everything that is very far behind in quality, the idea is to remove it and add a new model at some point.
Okay. Improvements in sound. Okay, I have something that drives me crazy. I apologize. I'm gonna complain, but it drives me crazy. The sound engine for planes, when you're inside a plane, it doesn't sound right. It's like a loop almost, and it kind of grates on my brain. Is there any plans to like rework how the sound inside the plane works? Because it doesn't sound like it's related to your speed or your engine, or if you're diving or anything. It's just like a loop. Is there any thoughts on that?
I wanted to make you happy and tell you, you know what? I'm gonna write this down,
All
but
right.
this is already written down.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hierarchy of the document. No, yes, this is something often like probably that's the only sound that is very much complained at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so I'm not
So,
the
yeah,
only one.
it's,
I'm not the only bad guy.
Is it being a bad guy to like want
I
our game to improve?
because maybe I'm a little bit naggy.
No, it's fine. I completely get you. I mean, it's not like I get in the plane and say, this is the perfect sound for the game.
Yeah,
It's more
okay.
like what
Okay.
we could afford at the moment to create, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I completely get it. Definitely. When we were gonna say, oh, we are speaking about sounds, I have a suggestion. I actually imagine it would have been something like that, or at
Okay.
least something around planes. So yeah,
All
I
right. He
completely
wrote it
understand.
down, everybody. Woo! All right. So very cool. So improvements in the main menu and loading screen. You did that this year, which is like a new way to like get into a mission, and then you can set it to multiplayer. You can also set if you want to like just play through the campaign one after another, which was a nice feature. So you can just like start a campaign, set it to like play through, and then you just go through each map and just keep going instead of reloading the screen every time, which is nice. So that was a cool
You tried it,
update.
Endo, by the way?
Huh?
You tried it already, Endo?
Yeah, yeah. Yep.
Can I ask you what you think about it? Because it actually was a quite big rework. Some people like it, some people doesn't like too much when stuff changes a lot. I'm curious.
You want to know the honest truth?
Of course.
I
You
think
can complain as much as you want.
I think that it would have been better without the animation to bring in each like I think it kind of it breaks the flow of the interface where I have to like wait and then it like changes. So I would rather it just showed me all the things rather than the fancy animation.
Okay. The animation is technically there to cover the loading of the mission. Previously, the menu was sometimes lagging, sometimes stuttering because the loading was done as fast as possible. Basically, now it's a little bit more asynchronous, so it's a way to smooth that. But this doesn't mean it's not possible to actually improve it. And actually, this is one of the things that people actually, in fact, didn't like. At the beginning, it was even worse. In fact, after a lot of people asked us to, well, either improve it or go back, we did. I mean, I did, because that's code part, so it's my aspect. I did do my best to improve it as fast as possible already, and this already way better than the first few days of the system be released. But yeah, I see how actually that part can be downgrade in some ways. But yeah, the idea behind the menu is one thing that always people didn't like about the previous menu was like it was not extremely clear what mission you had to play in order to unlock the next one.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make something a little bit more tree based, but I didn't want it to be like hand placed, hand drawn. I wanted the system to be dynamically, automatically generating the tree, graph automatically.
Yeah.
Possibly even for future mission editor usage, so a player can create his own tree by just linking missions together.
Oh, there's a question that might be a good time to ask it. is there any kind of plan, I guess, to have players make custom campaigns and then make it part of the official campaigns? Like a map contest?
It should be included. We attempted to do something like that in the past, but for technical reason, we couldn't end up doing it. The thing is, official maps has a ton of guidelines in terms of prop usage from specific section of the game and the density of props
Hmm.
and the way missions are made.
Yeah.
If we
Have to
leave
worry
that
about that.
to custom people without like spending time training them of
Yeah.
how this stuff needs to work, there's the risk that they end up making something that we have to redo or heavily modify. That's especially for low-end hardware such as Nintendo
Okay.
Switch, but even Xbox One, where
Actually,
the game could easily crash.
I have a
If
question.
not.
I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know the answer to this question. Are you able to create a campaign with multiple maps, or you can only do one custom map at a time? You can't make your own campaign, can you?
Right now, there is, for example, the Quadzalane campaign that uses the Quadzalane map and the Roinambu map, and they are listed inside one campaign. And the Shanghai Nanking DLC is also going to be one campaign with two maps, Shanghai and Nanking, in fact.
Okay, but can I make my own custom campaign, or I can't do that? I can't. You can't string
No,
missions together, right?
you can't. No, for custom missions, it's the linking is no, it's not really exactly campaign. It's more like
Same map or something,
the
right?
menu is the map
Yeah, yeah.
exactly, and the missions are listed there.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
All right, just checking. All right, let's see what else we have on this thing. Constant quality of life updates, polishing, yeah. Constant AI improvements. By the way, the AI is not perfect yet.
No.
I have a test map where I have them on top of a mountain kind of thing, like a flat mountain, and then I make a horseshoe, like like a horseshoe, and then I put tanks and I put infantry, and then I put the objective on the other side of the horseshoe, and they still tend to run into the edge. Is there any way to make a buffer when it sees like there's a drop off so that they don't try to run off the edge? Is that a thing?
So well, when you have some time, if you can send me a clip of this situation, I can better understand and think about the
Okay,
solution.
okay.
But generally, well, the thing is, until further scripting system comes, the AI is mostly programmed to work in the most possible kind of scenarios that can happen.
Yeah.
Keeping in mind at least the vanilla mission scenarios, it's very difficult to make an AI that works perfectly in every situation, especially before, because
Well,
the
yeah, I
yes.
guess what I'm looking for when I think of the maps, and even in I can never say it right. Tunisia, is that how you say it? They get stuck on mountains and stuff. Like, so does the current AI, does it tend to look at the angle of mountains with a pathfinding, or like a ditch, and like if it's too extreme, ignore it, or they don't care, they'll try to climb anything?
No, of course, they take that into consideration, but it's still a bit hard to make it perfectly working because other stuff that can depend is also the kind of vehicle that is actually trying to do that. Some vehicle might have some more grips on mountains, some less, and sometimes it's hard to tweak the actual angle that each vehicle can actually go on.
Okay.
Some other times is more like if you have to climb a hill in a straight line, maybe it's easy, you can accelerate enough. But if you have to constantly avoid obstacles, like in Tunisia happens often that you have rocks and obstacles in a hill. So climbing and also evading the obstacles can make way harder for the system to work correctly. Well, making the AI in an open world game where destruction can happen every time and there are so many kind of vehicles and are very much physical based, that's a huge challenge. And
Yeah.
while I would say that I'm happy about the AI we have, I think it's a big point for the game to exist, to have a single player that works fine. I still see how the challenging aspect of it really makes the AI sometimes a bit underwhelming compared to other small scenarios games where the AI can be more scripted, like I don't know, a Call of Duty can do, where the AI can look perfect thanks to the fact that it can be way more scripted. They don't have to take into account distraction, big open worlds, scenarios, and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like that.
No, I'm
So,
just asking. Just asking.
mhm,
I like to give you a
mhm.
hard time when I can. All
No, yeah,
right.
I'm dipping inside answering just to give people
No, no. Oh,
listening
okay. Yeah, yeah.
uh, a bit understanding on what are the challenges of doing
Gotcha.
this kind of improvements, which I'm open to do. I mean, it's written here, never-ending task, constant AI improvements.
Yep, yep.
But if someone wonder why the AI doesn't get perfect like tomorrow morning, well, the reason is very difficult
Well,
task.
what you have to do, here's it. I can solve this problem. You hire
Yes.
people to play the parts of the AI, so when people play the game, real people are playing the AI positions. You see?
Just like AI is in future gonna play real people in the real world.
Exactly. Yes. All right. So
No.
more reworks on
Mhm.
uniforms, and we already talked about that earlier. Improvements in gore
Mhm,
system.
mhm.
What are you doing with
Yes.
gore?
Many people would like in the gore system to see not just hands but entire arms and limbs to detach, legs, heads. I mean, kind of brutal. Not honestly, personally, a fan of that aspects. The simulation I like in the game is more like the military tactics
Yeah.
and historical simulation. But there's a lot of people that really ask. We want to see the brutality, we want to see the gore and the violence, and
Do,
I'm well. If you want an option to that,
what about
have
them
that.
like dragging themselves
Mhm.
on the ground screaming? Are you gonna do that too?
Um, I don't know. Whatever. I mean,
You're never gonna get
um,
that on PlayStation. Oh my gosh.
no, of course not. I don't think so.
Okay.
But even the gore system, in the way I imagine it to be improved, might not come into PlayStation. I don't know. But yeah, generally there are some improvements here and there that I'd like to do. It's actually something we are attempting to do from more than a year. It's probably something that was present in the old roadmap, and I think is the only aspect of the old roadmap that we failed to accomplish, and I'm still wondering if it's gonna be accomplished in this roadmap as well, because probably it's actually the hardest system to implement in on the entire roadmap without like impacting performance a lot.
Oh, okay.
And that's not a general rule for all games, but it's something especially because in our game we have swappable uniforms and a
Yeah.
lot of uniforms.
Okay.
um, Games like Arma or other games where you can swap clothes
Mhm.
doesn't feature gore system as well, most likely because they have the same challenge as us. Other games where you can't swap uniforms and you don't have too many models would be easy,
Okay.
but swappable uniforms makes gore system almost impossible to implement.
Okay. That's interesting. All right. We have JB has a question about spacing with AI and formation option. There used to
Mhm.
be one, I guess. Is there a formation option that was left for spreading out and stuff like that?
Yeah, we removed the formations option because it ended up being a bit too useless. I mean, no one were really using it, or very few people. And in general, most World War II squads wouldn't really follow this kind of modern formations, especially when it comes to fighting cities. It's more like the orders usually were more like, okay, guys, we have to move inside this street. Don't stay in a line, don't stay in a row, try to stay just spread. And so, yeah, we changed that a bit to add some other kind of systems. We added the covert movement system where units can move a bit more stealthy to get close to the enemy before opening fire.
Yeah.
That's the new system we added in exchange of the line formations. However, one big issue that I just mentioned and actually is not exactly working well in the game is the thing that the user mentioned, which is AI spreading a bit more. In fact, the spreading of AI while moving together in the game doesn't in fact work perfectly. another quite challenging thing to actually realize. But yeah, I see how this can be a priority in the
So,
never-ending AI constant improvements,
question
basically.
about AI. Do they experience suppression?
Yes. When they are suppressed, they tend to protect, crouch in the ground. Even if they are in cover, they have a dedicated animation where they stop shooting and get in
Okay.
cover. They get less precise.
So,
They tend to move less
so
also.
I'm wondering, because we're almost back to the other one, but I might as well ask you here because the rest of it's about maps and buildings. So, going back to the scripting system for missions and AI, is it going to be possible to add uh, like AI routines, like where you could add a menu item on your whatever the commands, so that you could have them like suppressing fire, and have them just fire at a direction while you're moving up or something like that? Is that possible?
So, should I start explaining
Yeah, yeah. Go
deeply
ahead. I'll
the?
I'll shut
Okay,
up. Go ahead. I'll shut up. Go ahead.
okay. So, scripting system. Um, Short answer, yes. I think. I mean, I don't know exactly what feature the scripting system is gonna give, but the idea is to have two system, two systems sort of interconnected. Um, One for the mission aspect, like not just placing spawns, not just placing objectives to capture, but more like, okay, first thing, spawn this squad. Second thing, conquer that area. Third thing, I don't know, destroy that static gun. Fourth thing, move everyone there. More like a script, actually, like a movie. First, second, a list of stuff to do in order
Yeah.
to complete the mission, and maybe on the other side, I don't know, a timer or an event that makes the mission fail. So the other side win.
So
So something more scripted,
so
and
looking
this
at
is for the
sorry.
mission aspect.
So looking
No,
at
sorry,
like say Arma, where you can like put zones and stuff that activate triggers. Is that something you're looking at as well? So you have trigger zones. So if American goes in a certain area, it'll trigger, them to attack or retreat or whatever you wanted, script to do.
uh, I'm not extremely familiar on how Arma works, but yeah, for example, one of the conditions that makes the mission progress or fail can be an area to be reached. Yes.
And
Um,
this might be a little advanced, but do AI do they report what they see to other AI, or like, you know what I'm saying, like their line of sight? Can they report other AI? Like, do they report positions of enemy soldiers, or do they all see the enemy soldier if one sees them, I guess?
I mean, yeah, the game tried to emulate stuff like this. For example, if you move in covert movements where the AI can't see you, as when the first AI will of a squad will spot your squad moving in covert movement formation, for example, all the squad will notice you, and like the soldier that spot you will shot enemies over there or something, and everyone is gonna start shooting you. So yeah, there are some features that try to show this, but of course it's not like the can it's something that can be improved. If you didn't notice it, is indeed because it's not exactly always noticeable, but tech, the tendency is, yes, to try to make the AI look more like they are interacting together. Yes.
Okay. So let me ask more about the scripting. How far along are you with it so far? Any we're in or just planning?
Um, well, we started doing some study mostly on which what would be the best way to implement it. It's actually going to be scripting or more visual, or are we going to use a language or another? Are we going to use, I don't know, LUA or other common languages? We are doing research. We are collecting all the possible techniques that uh, games we are studying uses, and
Okay.
we're mostly deciding the technology in this very moment. We know exactly once we have the technology, and not exactly, but we know generally once we know the technology how we're gonna structure this. So as I was saying, for example, for the mission, it's gonna be structured like a list of stuff that can happen. And for the AI, I didn't speak about that yet, but also we want the second I was saying that the scripting is indeed two systems, one for the mission and the second indeed for the AI. So we know how we want to structure it, but we don't know the technology yet. We are deciding the technology for the moment.
And this will be doable inside the game, right? Not outside.
Yes, the
idea.
for what we are studying now, probably the technology will be indeed using LUA scripting inside the mission editor.
Okay, very cool. That sounds good. I like that. Because I don't think I'd want it to be like a mod or something, you know, like where you have to like go outside somewhere. But
Mm-hmm.
to have it in the game and then like you attach scripts to like soldiers, or how would that work? Do you know?
So to script missions, it's probably gonna be like a file or a text box specifically for the mission. For the individual soldiers, it's probably gonna be like you make a text file that describes the AI you want the soldier to have, like you code the brain of the AI. I don't know, you want the AI to be a zombie, then the text file is gonna say, one, find the enemy. Two, move to the enemy. Three, when you're close to the enemy, damage him. I don't know. That's how a zombie would work.
Okay. You know what?
See you. Move.
Here's a question. Will you be able to set up like idle animations where like, you know, they're like you have on your front menu where they're like sitting around smoking and stuff like that? Will that be something you could do or not really?
Sorry, say again.
So like idle animations. So say you want to set up a German town where they don't know you're coming, and like maybe a dude is patrolling.
Okay.
One's smoking. One's
yes. That's. I mean, yeah. I will finish because the description of how they are implemented, because you can see how this can be implemented. So yes, you have your text file, which can be like I described it as zombie, but another example can be, okay, you move to point A, then to point B, then to point C, then to point A. So this can be a routine for a soldier patrolling, for example, okay? And then you can put in the same brain file some events like if something happens, I don't know, enemy spotted, you can swap to another AI brain or to the default way the AI works. So yes, basically this is a file that you connect to the spawner of your soldiers or whatever. So when the soldier spawns, they have a certain text files, certain brain, I don't know how to call it.
Yeah.
And yes, you can code this brain to swap between different files, so different brains, different behaviors, including base game ones at some point, of course. So yeah, you can make an AI patrolling and under certain events start shooting at the player. You might even be able to make the AI play certain animation through these brain files. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't have precise.
Yeah. And then
yeah,
I assume in the mission scripting, you'll be able to spawn different things on, you know, whatever criteria you want. So you could spawn like ships coming in or something like that, or whatever. I don't know. Right? That would be the mission part, right?
Yeah. Probably the spawning system is not gonna change too much. I don't know yet. But the mission logic is more like in my head at the moment. We'll see how it's developed, but it's more like how you proceed across different mission phases. So what's the condition to go to the next part of the mission and until one or the other faction wins? It's more like alternatives to the capture area system that can be can have some conditions, more scripted, more interesting, more complex condition, to happen rather than just be areas.
Something came to mind that's been I think it's been a feature that probably people have asked you for. Is there going to be either scripting wise or maybe just a feature where you can have day and night cycles?
Well, the scripting system could technically make something like this with the implementation that I have in my mind. I consider making something like this part of the vanilla game, but I felt like unless the mission literally lasts hours and it makes sense to the night cycle to go on, I felt like it was a bit pointless. I mean, making the weather moving in real time is actually kind of resource wasting. I mean, really increase the payload on the CPU. So unless really necessary, I prefer not to implement it in vanilla, but later on with scripting system should become doable.
Okay, okay. I'm just asking. I'm just asking questions. All right, so we are about at the end. We do have the war deals. The Sino, is it Sino or Sino? Sino, right?
In Italian would be Sino.
Oh, really?
In English, I'm not
Okay.
sure.
So we have the Sino-Japanese War DLC coming out. Maybe weeks, maybe months. We don't know yet, right? And
Yeah, I can say that we are basically mostly finalizing the maps and the vehicles. Everything else, like weapons are almost ready, uniforms are basically ready, buildings are ready. It's really a matter of when will missions be fully playable. Very soon, I hope. I mean, it should have been happened like in this week or something, but probably it's delayed by a couple more weeks. Very soon, we're gonna have some private beta testing with some users, especially users that actually live in the area Shanghai that can give us interesting feedbacks, especially about the map making. And then when these beta testers feels like the DLC is ready, we're gonna publish it. So yeah, maybe 1 month, maybe 3 weeks, maybe 2 months, not sure, but we are really close to
how many
have
maps are there?
something
Do you know how many maps
ready.
are there? Or missions, I
Sorry,
guess? How many missions?
how many missions are gonna be there?
Uh-huh.
I have no idea yet. Maybe 15, maybe 20.
Oh,
Usually that's the amount of mission we
okay.
make for a DLC.
Okay, that sounds cool. All right, so this was our first one. How did it go? Did you enjoy this?
Yeah, actually, that really makes me remember how large the game is. I sometimes really, focus on the specific features I'm developing for a week, and I tend to forget to look back. And really, this goal made me look back and say, "Wow, did I implement all this stuff? When did I do that? Did I really had the time to do that?" So yeah, actually, it was kind of interesting for myself, for in first place to see, wow, how far the game went, but also I'm happy to have a place where I could, and maybe hopefully in future as well, I will be able to read a bit of the most common questions and answer them more deeper and more in detail than I can do usually in the Discord. I hope the players watching the live found this as useful as I hope, and as I think it could be. So yeah, actually, success as a succeeded experiment, I'd say.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you enjoyed it as well, Endo, I hope we can keep doing it like with a certain
Well, my favorite part is
periodicity.
I get to ask for features, so yeah. Um,
Well, sorry, what? Mm-hmm.
I said I get to ask for features. That's why I enjoy it.
Yeah, right. I
So,
mean,
so,
I think it's the same reason why people can come in the chat and enjoy this as well in the end. So yeah.
so I think we're gonna try to do this. This is for the folks watching. We're gonna try to do this every month, but I think if you have a date at some point for the DLC, we could do a launch video as well, which would be fun.
Yeah,
And then
definitely.
maybe
Mhm.
if Marco is down, he will play with you guys. Does that sound cool?
Yeah, it sounds definitely cool.
Have you
We can
played with
keep the
anybody?
idea
Have you
and
played your game with anybody?
yeah. Sometimes
Yeah.
I play matches online just to test stuff in public server,
Yeah.
and I hear feedbacks basically on the field like, "Hey Marco, come in this position of the map. I want to show you, a bug or something."
Oh, okay.
Other times I test with the team. Other times I test with people I met in the Discord. Yeah, actually, kind of played with a lot of people online. Yes.
Okay. So things we were talking about in private, where we would like to show off some of your missions and maps. And so I think Marco's going to work on with his admin setting up a place so that you could submit your map or mission to be looked at, and then maybe we could show it off, or a mod or whatever. And so we'll get a little bit more community community interaction with Marco, because he's putting a lot of work into this game with his team. He loves hearing from you, and he loves seeing what you're doing. So it would be really cool to show off to players that don't actually play Easy Red 2 to see what the possibilities are. So I think that would be fun to do on these videos, as well as answer questions and see what he's been working on every month. So I think we're gonna go for once a month, but if it's something going on, we can do more than once a month if Marco is interested in doing that. So we have a question from Jose, who says, "Question for Marco: What is a campaign or battle that he would love to bring to the game? What's the next thing you would like to bring to the game, I guess?"
Well, don't take this as we are gonna do this, because I don't know exactly what we are gonna do next. I mean, I know we are gonna do this DLC, and then we are gonna rework Enzio and Quasaren. Then usually we run polls on the Discord where we ask people what they want, and we focus on that. Usually, from what I can tell, people are mostly asking about like Berlin, invasion of Poland, Winter War, stuff like that. But if the question is about what I personally would like to have,
Yes.
I personally would like to have Gothic Line, which is another Italian battle, actually kind of long one, like 1 year of frontline in Italy, north of Italy. It's interesting because it's kind of hilly / mountain area, so it's a bit interesting mountain gameplay. It's near the area where I live, so it's gonna be very cool to see my area I know displayed in the game. And I mean, it's a big battle for World War II. Again, 1 year long, and a front that were pushing the Germans out of Italy. While I don't think any game shows that. Some games shows Italy, especially south of Italy, sometimes Sicily and stuff like that. But Gothic Line was like one of the most important battles we have in Italy. I'm not even sure. Did you know about this, Endo? Did you heard the Gothic Line, for example?
Yeah, I don't. I know the name, but I don't know the battle. No, I've heard it.
Yeah.
But
I
don't know
mean,
what it is.
maybe the battle has a different name or something, but it was really a huge. Like, it was a line that was almost going from one sea to the other of Italy. It's really Gothic Line because it's an entire line basically. So Stalling front where battles happened until Allied basically pushed and conquered Bologna area, basically, in the north of
Okay,
Italy.
that sounds cool. So would you make the map or have somebody else do it?
I hope Fanny will be there to make the
Oh,
map,
okay,
because that's a great. With Kevin making the buildings, myself probably as well, and Sel, again, also known as Robert Z in the chat. I hope he will be there to make the building. All the team has great skill to help me making everything we need to make something like this real. Again, not sure if it's something that is gonna happen. I'm gonna mostly give priority to what the people in the Discord want.
Okay,
But that would be my dream.
all right. This might be biased. You're probably gonna say Italian army, but what is your favorite faction or vehicle in the game?
I wouldn't say Italian army, actually, because if it was, probably I would have already depicted it more. It's an army that I enjoy in the game, definitely. Interesting to see. But let me think. I like the Americans a lot because I don't know. I like the style of their uniforms. Kinda, I don't know. Kinda good style. Interesting weapons. Kinda modern weapons. A lot of automatic ones.
Yeah. What's your favorite
In
weapon?
terms, good question. I don't know. I like the Garand.
You like it? Oh, do
Very
you? When you
common
play, is
and
that what
very modern.
you grab? I kind of like the carbine.
Yeah. Also very nice weapon. I tend to like weapons that has a lot of features, like adjustable sights, multiple kind of magazines, cool sounds, good looking weapons. That came out well in game.
All right.
I don't have a clear preference, but
Alright.
generally the US Army vehicles and weapons are what I think.
Wait, you like the
game...
US vehicles? Really?
Oh yeah, I like the ones that.
I think everybody likes the Germans. I think they like the German vehicles.
They are also very, very nice.
Yeah.
Now you make me doubt what I like.
Oh, well, I don't know. I think like everyone, when you think of like the vehicles, like oh, the tiger. Everyone likes a tiger,
Yeah.
because it looked
I mean,
mean.
now that I think more about it,
Yeah.
I kind of underestimate it. But what we are developing for the um, Shanghai Nanking War is a big set of very cool weapons, very cool vehicles, very cool uniforms. They have potential to be my next favorite stuff, and not just telling this to hype about the DLC,
Uh-huh.
but actually they are very coming, very interesting and very well done. So maybe they're gonna replace my next favorite, best
And
thing in the game.
how are you doing the voices? Are you paying real actors or how's that work?
So yes, part of the actors are people that I contacted personally, usually with a website where that make you in contact with artists. Like I don't know, Fiverr is a common site where people can do our works, and they say, okay, I can do this thing, for example, voice acting, and I go there and say, okay, can you do this kind of a setting? They say yes or no, and then they say to hire them. Or other times are people in the Discord that offer to do the commission, and if the quality is fine and they like the payment we offer, then yes, we hire people that propose themselves from the Discord as well.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, well, I can't wait. So, you're gonna let me know as soon as you're getting ready to launch, and then we'll get together.
Sure.
All right. So, you might want to, I don't know if you message the admins, but yeah, I can't add the invite for the server yet. So if people want to check out the EasyRed 2 server, I'll put the link in the description as soon as possible, but I don't have one yet.
Let me give you right now in real time. Very strange that you can't get it, but let's
Or you can
see.
give me one in the
Will I
chat here.
send you in private chat? Okay.
Yeah, should be fine. Make sure
Okay.
you do it where you edit it so it doesn't expire as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, this shouldn't expire. Yeah, I'm a bit of a boomer on using Discord, I'd say. I mean, not that, I generally can make a video game, so I think I can understand technology very well, but I don't know. Discord is something I never fully understood. Oh, here it is.
Okay, and I will
Discord link.
add this to, right now I'm going to add it. So if you don't know what EasyRed 2 is, besides this video, and you want to get more information or do what I do, ask for features, EasyRed 2 Discord is where you want to go, and Marco posts updates on the new, the new DLC, whatever they're working on, if it's AI interface or anything else, and you can get all the news there. So I just added it to the description so you can check it out. So I think that's it. Marco, is there anything else you want to add?
I think that's all for today. Really answered a lot of questions, and I want to keep more questions for next time. Where I hope there's gonna be a lot of the stuff we have been talking about and dreaming during this live. Really hope to get on in the next live, look back and say, oh yeah, remember that thing we were speaking about? It's there in the game. Now we are working in the next thing. So yeah, that's for the gonna be an interesting look for the next live.
Yeah. And I got my features written down. Woohoo! All right, Marco. So anyways, we will set up some new dates. And again, guys, if you want to keep up with EasyRed 2, go check out the Discord. A lot of people there that care about the game. A lot of people that are building maps and sharing screenshots. There are also some multiplayer sections set up so you guys can get together and play together. What else? There's like a bunch of stuff in there. Mods, there's mod sharing, stuff like that. So go check it out. I'm Endo. Thanks for watching. And this is Marco, the developer of EasyRed 2, with his team of 8, making your dreams come true.
Thank you, Endo, and thank you everyone following the live.
All right. Say goodbye, Marco.
Bye, guys. See you next month, I guess.
See you next month.